Hello, business owners. Have your online marketing costs exploded while the quality of your leads going down? Well, guess what? You're not alone, and it's not your fault. Joining me on today's episode of Top Dog Tips is digital marketing expert Richard Bueckert from RailGun Marketing, who shares some revealing insights into some of the major changes that have happened and offers some helpful tips on what you as a marketer can do going forward. Well, hey, Richard, welcome to the show.
Hi, Greg. How are you today?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Listen, the world of online digital marketing is dynamic and ever changing. And while most professionals and consultants are excellent at providing their service, when it comes to generating prospects and converting them to buyers using digital marketing, they're finding it more increasingly challenging. So, Richard, I'm hearing and seeing for myself that my online advertising costs are exploding, my acquisition costs are exploding, but the quality of the actual leads is declining. So, what's changed? What's no longer working? And what are your tips for businesses like mine going forward?
Well, thanks for asking that. It's a great question. It all started a couple of years ago when the very first domino that fell was when Europe brought in some legislation called GDPR, which was a privacy bill, and it started not only forcing the big companies like Google and Facebook to take much better care of our information, but it also brought into light to normal people like you and I just how much data they are collecting on us. And since then, other legislation has come out. There's been CCA in the US, there's Castle here. And in April of 2021, Apple changed they came out with a new operating system called iOS 14.5. And with that software, what happened was the Apple products are no longer giving Facebook and Google the data that they used to be able to get. So what's been happening is the data sources have been drying up, and that's done two things. It's meant that the quality of the leads you're getting is going downhill, but because everyone is shifting to doing more and more digital, the costs are going up. So you got this very strange situation where costs are getting higher and the quality of the leads is getting lower. And it means that and especially for us as small business owners, we have to adapt, because unlike large companies like Coca-Cola or Ford Motor Company, we just can't keep throwing more money at the advertising, because you get to the point where it's not affordable anymore. But there are tactics that as small businesses we can use to mitigate what's been happening.
Well, that's, what you said it the best. The Coca-Colas of the world can deal with it. I'm not Coca-Cola, man. I don't have that budget. So again, to kind of recap, what I'm hearing is, ad costs are skyrocketing, quality of leads from from different data sources really going down. And as a marketer, professional business owner, these trends are really, really challenging. I'm not quite sure on how to approach it going forward. So, what do you say? What do you suggest?
So there's a lot of things that small businesses can do far easier than the big companies can do. The first of which is you do need to spend a little bit of money doing what we call fixing your digital plumbing. And that's where when somebody comes to your website versus getting data from someone else's website, you need to make sure that you're using, the new Google Analytics, which is Google Analytics 4, that's rolling out right now, and capture that data yourself. Additionally, you need to be doing things on your website that are giving you what is called zero-party data. And that means that you want to have ways to capture their information so that you're not reliant on platforms like Facebook and Google to keep bringing those leads back over and over and over again.
So what would be an example of capturing that information? What does that look like?
Okay, so depending on your business, in our business, we tend to use quizzes a lot. And the reason being is we can bring someone in and it says, are you making these 5 digital marketing mistakes in your small business? Take the quiz. They now get into the quiz. They start answering questions. And as we're moving them through the quiz, we're actually routing them different ways depending on what their answers are, so that at the end of the quiz, we can give them the best information for their situation. But also at the end of the quiz, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, Greg, you're a advanced digital marketer. To find out what that means, give me your name and your email, and I'll send you a full report and a video. So what happens essentially is I now have all that information about you that you've answered, and I have your name, and I have a way to contact you, which means now I can take that data that you've given me, tailor if I'm doing any type of an engagement campaign, I'm tailoring that information so that it's specific to you, which is very meaningful. But it also means that I don't have to rely on Facebook or Google to keep trying to contact you, and I'm not paying them. So it allows for a much more intimate relationship. And this is something that big businesses have a very difficult time doing, because they can't scale that down small enough.
You know what, that's the idea of using quizzes and collecting that much data is quite powerful, right? Because when you look at a normal lead magnet, it's usually, give me your first name and email address and a phone number and download this ebook. And a lot of times people aren't giving you the right information. They don't want to be contacted. But the format that you've explained gives up a massive amount of data, but you're trading value for value. So I guess one of the key considerations is what you're offering has to be of value to entice them to give up the amount of information that they're actually providing to you.
Yeah, the metric we like to use for that. So there's two parts. As you're going through the quiz, they're going to learn a lot just by what the multiple choice answers are. Like if they're consistently staying towards the bottom of the answers, and they can see all these other answers at the top, which are things that they know they should be doing, they're actually learning as they go through. The other part of that is when you get to the end where you're asking them for their information, because they've already invested a certain amount of time in it, they're a lot more likely to give you that information than when you ask for it at the front end. So what you said about asking for a free PDF or an ebook, give us your email. Well, they don't know what the content is yet. But when they go through the quiz, they already have a pretty good idea of where I'm going and the kind of questions I'm asking. They're a lot more likely to give it to me. And then the other part I look at is when we're at the point where we are asking for their information, I'm saying to myself, if this were me, would this information be something that I'd be willing to pay $20 for? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to get a really good opt-in rate. But if you let's say you have the the one-page PDF, and somebody subconsciously that doesn't they might think, well, it's worth a couple dollars, I'm not going to give you my name and my email. But if it's really valuable, then definitely you'll get it. But it's easier to ask for the other information at the end than it is at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole different strategy altogether
Yeah.
than your traditional buying Facebook ads, buying Google ads, and AdWords. And then what I see how that addresses the quality of lead issue right off the bat. So, this sounds like a fairly advanced technique. And again, I'm about helping companies explore the world of video. Professionals, mortgage brokers are in the world of mortgage brokers, and the concept is you can't be everything to everybody. So how do they access the type of information and the changes that are happening? Like, they come to guys like you, but how do they keep on top of it?
Yeah. It's difficult even for me. It's pretty much a full-time job staying in front of it. And you did mention that what I just described is fairly, and it is. But here, one of the things that anyone can do, and it's one of the reasons why guys like me look for guys like you, is you have to understand that with what's happening right now, Facebook and Google do not want you leaving their platform. So they want as much to be in channel as possible. So if you're putting an ad onto Facebook that says, click here, and it drives to your website, Facebook doesn't like that. But if I come to you and I say, you know what, I want to make a video, and I'm going to make a 3 to 5 minute video that is going to give content. This is going to be valuable information, much like we're doing right now. if you were to put something like this on Facebook, and you say, hey, here's a video for mortgage brokers that are having difficulty getting new contracts right now,
Yeah.
or something along that line. So you, at the front, you identify who it's for, and you talk about that for 3 to 5 minutes, and then at the end you say, if you want to know more about this, I'm Greg from Megapixel, and that will, and then you have your call to action at the end. But think about what happens. Facebook is going to see that your video is attracting this kind of people. And because Facebook wants them to stay in channel, they're going to be showing your ad to more people that it thinks will want to see it. It's very subtle, and you have to, they don't want people leaving their platform. So if they identify that, hey, the videos for mortgage brokers, they're going to show it to more mortgage brokers for you. And that benefits you, and it lowers your ad costs.
Okay, so you the concept is you create a video on the platform, be it Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform you create that, and then you create an ad that points to that video, and that's how you increase the pickup on the ad, the engagement on the ad.
Actually, what you do is the other way around. The video now becomes the ad, and at the end of it, you now say, "Here's my call to action." So if you think about it from a retargeting term down the road, if somebody comes in and let's say I will start watching your video and I watch it for 8 seconds and I leave and I hit the next, I scroll up, versus somebody who's going to go all the way to the end of 4 minutes and 15 seconds, who's the more likely prospect? It's kind of obvious, right? Somebody who's not interested is going to bounce. Somebody who is interested is going to. So now what you do is you go back to Facebook and you say, I want you to take and show this ad, but only to people that watch more than 3.5 minutes of my video. And that's how you bring your ad cost down.
Wow. That's you know what, Richard, you're parting the oceans in terms of knowledge and tactics, right? Because most people just don't have the time these days to figure that out, and so I can see how working with somebody like you would really help. It help improve my feedback or improve my numbers. Got I'll get into it. So, cool. So, yeah, Richard, that's amazing. So, can you actually share an example of a story of a customer that you worked with that went through these types of scenarios?
Yeah. So we have a client in the U.S. and she is a consultant that helps primarily Christian women that are business owners transition um, their management style. So a lot of women are not real comfortable with the old 1950s command and control, you do it my way style of management, and they prefer a more nurturing style. So what we did with her was her Facebook ads were targeted to obviously women. And then we used a bunch of different selects that we could get that we think, based on who they followed, that they were likely to be, Christian business owners, because that's her niche. And we put the video out, and we could tell just from people that they either watched the video for about 10 seconds and dropped off, and then it was flat, and then there was no real drop off until the very end. So you had this initial drop. We eliminated those people on retargeting, and the ones that got to at least 3/4 of the video through were the ones that we retargeted. And this was to fill a 3-day intensive, because essentially the video was a really, really short masterclass about what's involved and everything else. So that when people are engaged with the video, they're really good prospects. And then all we did was retarget them to sign up for the intensive. Great results.
Okay, so that you lowered their ad costs, you increased the engagement, and actually increased the conversion rates.
Right. Yeah, across the board. And it's just knowing your numbers and then looking at, when you look at the numbers and the data, that will tell you a story. The biggest problem I see with most small business owners is the biggest problem is they don't look at the numbers at all. And the ones that do aren't exactly, Facebook and Google will give you way more data than you can possibly digest. So it's knowing which metrics to look at. If you do that, you get really good success.
It's classic. The data is one thing, but understanding what it actually means and what to do about
Yeah.
it is totally different. So, okay, cool. Richard, that's it's a fascinating field, this whole digital marketing and such, and you obviously are very good and competent at it. But so tell me, what drives you? Why do you do what you do?
Um, it'll still sound corny as heck, but um, I love helping small businesses succeed. I've had a number of businesses over my entire life. I've only actually had a, quote unquote job once, and that was for 13 months while I was helping I was running my friend's business while he built his second location was really all that was. But other than that, I've been self-employed my whole life. Had some really big ups. It's like some fabulous years. I've had some catastrophic failures. And honestly, I wake up every morning absolutely thrilled to do what I do. Like I love getting up and coming into the office and helping business owners figure all this out. Because I didn't learn all this, by going to university and getting a degree. I
Yeah.
learned all of it by spending my own money, losing a lot of it, and learning and reading and going to masterminds. And um, there was a time in my life and it was one of those really deep valleys that were a very hard time. And I had two people that without asking for anything in return, they helped me out and got me through it.
Mhm.
And their only request for payment was pay it forward. And that's what I do.
Love it. Love it. Pay it forward. You know what? There's nothing cheesy and corny about, finding your purpose and actually acting on it. So, congratulate that. That's fantastic. I can see the attraction for people wanting to work with you. So,
Yeah, thanks.
speaking of that, it's time for a commercial plug time. Railgun Marketing. Tell me a little bit about your company and your services.
Um, yeah, so I'm co-founder and co-owner of RailGun Marketing. I have two partners. Um, our niche is small business owners, professionals, consultants that they suffer from what I call fractured marketing, which is where they're very tactical. They'll say things to me like, "Do you do Facebook ads?" Which is a tactic. It's like Facebook
Yeah.
is nothing other than a media. And we always start with yeah, that can be really good, but have you thought about these other things? And when you really start to get into it with them, you realize that they don't have that whole picture of how to take someone from, in a lot of cases, not knowing either who you are or that your service even exists, all the way through to not only just buying your product or service, but to becoming someone who is going to give you referrals, reviews, and testimonials. And that's what's missing. So we spend a lot of time with them building that. Um, and then at the end of that process, they can decide if they want to work with us. Great. Many do, some don't. Um, and that's fine. They may have, my brother-in-law does Facebook's ad. Great. Let him do it. Right.
Yeah,
So yeah. Yeah. Or, well, in my case, like, do you do video? No, go see Greg. I don't do that specifically. We work more on the the whole plan. There are certain parts of tactically that we do. We do a lot of copywriting because most copywriting for on websites is awful, to be blunt.
yeah,
If it sounds corporate and boring, it's bad. It's and now especially with all this privacy stuff, the best thing that anyone can do is to do exactly what we're doing right now: is get on video, let them get to know you. Um,
yeah.
have your personality come through. If you resonate with them, they're going to want to do business with you somehow. And
Yeah.
and that's and but the old way of hand out a brochure, that's not working anymore for obvious reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's what I get that. I understand it. You know what we're not for everybody, but the people that do jive with us are fantastic, and we get some great relationships and great results. So I've got pretty much the same approach that you do. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
okay. So listen, how do our viewers connect with you?
Easiest way is to reach out either by email. My email is richard@railgunmarketing.com. If you're in Canada, you can call or text me at 587-807-6750. If you're in the US, it's 307-201-4495.
Okay. And your website address?
RailGunMarketing.com.
Perfect. Okay, well, hey, listen, thanks, Richard. That's all the time we have for today's episode on Top Dog Tips, no BS expert business advice. A reminder, if you want to connect with Richard, you use all the digits that he just supplied. And please like, comment, and share. If you like what you've seen, tell your friends. If not, keep it yourself. So as well. If you want to be featured or information on how to be our next featured expert on Top Dog Tips, click the link below. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Greg.